Hello everybody, welcome to the Redmen TV and your uncensored match build-up ahead of Liverpool's trip to Villa Park to face Aston Villa in what can only be described as a massive game of footy. I am Dan Clubb, I'm joined by Chloe and Luke to talk about it. First off, everyone, how are we? Okay?
Sound.
Good.
Sound, freezing as always. Getting here nice and warm though.
I've got a Costa. I'm great.
Happy, life good. Yeah, hopefully life can get better tomorrow night when we go down to the Midlands. But yeah, let's talk about it, shall we? Do feel free to get involved in the chat as usual. Any questions you've got, any opinions, anything you want to say, basically. Let's do it. Tan is happy to see us. Anyway, oh my God, Dan, Chloe and Luke, I didn't see this coming. Yeah, we're here.
It was in the description.
Yeah, so maybe somebody should have saw it coming. But yeah, we are here. Hope it's a good surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to think it would be. Yeah,
hopefully.
Okay. Will says, got to be a win. Villa are there to be got at. Okay, let's discuss Aston Villa first off, shall we? Obviously, Luke, I'll come to you first, mate. For Liverpool, it's post-Wolves, you know, scraping over the line, getting away with an ugly win, if you want to describe it as that. But yeah, this is the start now of 8 days of seriously big footy matches, isn't it? And it's got to be viewed as that.
Yeah, it's eight days of hell, really, so I'd put it for any Liverpool fan. I'm going to have no fingernails left by the end of it. Going on to Villa, you know, saying it's got to be a win, it's going to be hard, and we play like we did Sunday. You know, our win's going to be really, really tough. We're going to need to put in a much better performance. Mm-hmm. They haven't been the team they were last year, that's got to be said. But at home, they've only lost one game, and that's Arsenal. So it's now we've got to go out there and match it with them. So let's see what happens. I back us, Villa Park, we've got quite a good recent history. We've been doing okay. So let's see what happens.
Sorry, I had to smile then. Somebody mentioned the fact I'm not wearing shorts, which was actually a topic of conversation upstairs.
Don't say it.
What do you mean?
Just do it.
No, I'm not doing it. I do have shorts on underneath, you'll be glad to know.
We all told him that during the half-time break here, he should have taken his pants off and seen if anyone would have realised that he's got shorts on and just...
Nobody wants that.
No, we did.
I'm saving you all because they're running shorts. Let's just leave it at that.
Short shorts.
It's a short shorts, yeah. We're playing paddle
the ones
later.
that have got your...
No, they haven't even got the underlining.
Oh,
hence the problem.
Okay, yeah, no. If you had the underlining...
I'm not willing to expose myself any more than normal on any show ever, to be honest with you. Yeah, we're professionals here. Thought I'd throw some pants on. Anyway, Aston Villa, Chloe. Luke's just touched on it there, actually. They might maybe not the force they were previously. They might have struggled to cope with the rigours of Champions League football and what that means to the squad and how testing it can be mentally and physically. But yeah, drew Ipswich at the weekend, a 10-man Ipswich at that as well. They had over an hour to try and get that result in their favour, never managed it. So yeah, albeit a difficult test, albeit still a very good football team, perhaps maybe not quite what they once were.
Yeah, they're not in the greatest run of form. I looked at the last three results and they've dropped points against West Ham, Wolves and then Ipswich. So it's not like, they're teams that you expect Aston Villa to drop points against. The only other thing I can say is that they obviously got through in the top 8 of the Champions League, so they do have bigger things to fry right now. They were challenging for top 4 and it feels like they fell off ever so slightly, which is a little bit surprising when someone told me how far down the table you are. The 8th or 9th? Ninth, exactly, which is a little bit surprising considering I feel like it was only a couple of weeks ago. I thought, they could challenge the likes of City. Bournemouth was up there as well. So yeah, it's been a little bit surprising, but at the same time, I guess they are a club who, for this season are learning to play as many games as they are being playing. Midweeks, you realise just how hard it is to do that. And they've secured a top 8 spot in the Champions League and they're still sat 9th. How many points off top 4 are they by any chance?
I will find it out for you in a moment.
Yeah,
Thank you.
6 off top 4.
6.
There you go.
Yeah,
so
it's congested still.
Yeah, so it's that's quite good for them, especially 6 points, and I've just listed the 3 teams that they've just dropped points against in the last 3 games. To even be just 6 points off, that's quite good from them. So they are a very tricky side who have had one eye on something else in the last couple of weeks to make sure that they got through without having to go in the knockout rounds of the Champions League. So you can kind of understand it. They're still a brilliant side, and my God, the quality. They had a brilliant January transfer window.
They did. They did, really, all things considered. Yeah, it was a little bit, perhaps later than they would have wanted. Some of the business managed to get done, but obviously that was sort of dictated to by John Duran's, random exit or somewhat surprise exit anyway. Luke, Chloe mentions it there in terms of what they might have their eye on. What they might have their eye on, they still have aspirations of what is looking like a top 5 finish to be enough for Champions League footy. Yeah. But they've also got FA Cup to deal with. I did our Oppo preview show this morning with Dan Bardell, obviously a massive Aston Villa fan, and he said, he probably maybe on his own in terms of this, but he would definitely be looking at some cup success for Villa. And that's not to say they're going to take their eye off the Premier League just yet, but yeah, Champions League football to come still, FA Cup still going on. If all of a sudden the top 4/5 does look out of reach, maybe they will avert their gaze.
I feel like they're sort of in a little bit of a similar position to what we're in terms of this is quite season defining in the next couple of weeks. They've got Chelsea coming up next, which is going to be another tough game. But if they lose here, then they're 6 points behind and a game ahead of the rest. So you can pretty much, you're looking at that thinking we're not going to make the top 4. We might scrape a Europa League, Europa Conference League place, but it's gone. So it's quite an important game for them and themselves. Looking over to the Cups and the Champions League, they could have quite a deep run in the Champions League. The sort of, if you look at their side of the table, I think it's Dortmund, Bayer Leverkusen are over there somewhere, Atalanta. So quite favourable opponents for them. The only sort of here and there is they could face us in the quarterfinals, depending on what side they get through on. So if I was Aston Villa, I'd be looking at thinking, let's try and go as deep as we can in Europe and see what success we can get in the FA Cup, because even a draw here tomorrow for them isn't good enough. A draw here for us, I wouldn't say it's too bad. 6 points over the next 2 games would be absolutely massive, and you'd probably be starting to put up the bunting, you know what I mean, thinking it's coming. But let's see what happens for them. If I'm them, I've probably got one eye more on Europe, considering they haven't been there for so long. That's where you want to you get the travelling fans, you get the atmosphere going, and if a good European campaign can sort of spell you on for like the next couple of seasons, especially as a manager.
No, definitely. Yeah. We know what his track record like in Europe as well with clubs of this sort of stature. It's phenomenal, isn't it? So yeah, I think you have to be spot on that. Chloe, we've made reference already to sort of Aston Villa's problems, inconsistencies. Their last win actually was against Everton. I think it was like David Moyes' first couple of days in charge.
Did you put that in
I don't know.
The agenda?
I don't know where I got that from.
No
but
idea,
anyway.
no.
But maybe some of that, Chloe, is down to injuries. Because they've got a lot of them. And even heading into this as well, they've had defensive problems. They brought in Axel Disasi. We've touched on some of the attacking additions they made in January. Obviously, Asensio, Rashford, Daniel Marlon. But yeah, they still have problems further back, really. I'm looking at the injury list here. Pau Torres, Matty Cash, Onana, Ezri Konsa, Ross Barkley, Leon Bailey's on the list as well, Kamara as well. So most of them, the exception being Leon Bailey, really, they're all defensive midfielders. So yeah, they are weaker than they'd like back there, potentially.
Yeah, they are, but it's a good job they've got the best goalkeeper in the world, isn't it? To stop absolutely everything.
Doesn't speak about that much. He's quite calm and quite chill about it.
I don't know where he's actually got the title from. I don't know who's gave him it either.
Is he self-proclaimed or?
Yeah.
He's self-proclaimed a lot of things, to be honest.
The defence, it's not, I mean, Onana for me, that was the name that you said, and I was like, look, Pau Torres is a good centre-half, but Onana for them has been absolutely superb since he left Everton, joined them. His height as well, he's so good from corners, both defensively and offensively for them, and he was just a massive, massive part of that midfield. Kamara, that's your DM that you've lost there as well, to lose both Kamara and Onana. They're two lads who battle for everything, who will win the challenges and individual battles on the pitch. They've still got obviously John McGinn, who I think's brilliant as well. Tielemans is a little bit more of a craftsman, but he'll get about. But yeah, like you said there, defensively they are a little bit short, and maybe it is just organisation, and they've obviously gone top heavy in January as well. Disasi might help that out. We know he's a decent footballer, and it's a decent buy for them, but once again, it's something where Liverpool will be looking to exploit, and we need to dominate that midfield. That's what needs to happen. We need to go there. We need to take the sting out of the atmosphere, because they've been on not a great run of form. But let me tell you, Liverpool, Chelsea back to back, Villa Park will be absolutely rocking. Liverpool need to go up there, take that ball off them and say, for 15 minutes, you're watching us bore used to death. And we just need to win our individual battles all over the pitch, but dominate that midfield area.
No, absolutely, yeah. And you mentioned sort of Tielemans and what have you there, and they're good players sort of in their own right, but I think they've been tested by just the sheer amount of footy they've had to play because the injury list being so stacked. Like, Tielemans feels to me, in an ideal world, in a luxury position, you would sort of swap and change him. They haven't quite been afforded that luxury. So yeah, definitely Chloe's right. If we can get in around it and sort of grab hold of the game by the scruff of the neck early doors, try and quell what will be a very, very fever pitch crowd for a little bit, it will do us a whole load of favours, and we haven't been perfect at that of late. Luke, to come to you on sort of the threats that Villa pose, we've touched on a few of them already. Watkins, Rashford, Marlon, Asensio, of course, but I really like Morgan Rodgers. They're a good side. They've got problem makers. Yeah,
I've got problem makers. I'm a big fan of Morgan Rodgers. He's a staple in my FPL at the moment. So no, I'm a big fan of him. He's very creative, but he's also very quick. I mean, he hit Man City, didn't he, quite a lot of early doors. Obviously, he was partnering Duran that game. They're not going going to have, who caused us some big problems last season. But I think, you know, the title was already pretty much wrapped up there. We knew we were pretty much out the race, and he got 2 late ones. Luckily, we won't have to contend with that. Marlon's been a bit hit and miss, hasn't he? The other clubs he's gone, sort of, since he left PSV. He wasn't very good at Dortmund. He's come into Villa. Did he score the other day?
No,
Or did he hit the post or something?
He might have scored. On his
Can't quite
debut, I
remember.
remember he had a really good chance and it got saved.
Yeah.
He's a good
He's
player.
dangerous.
Different type of
Dangerous.
forward as well.
He's quick, so he's going to offer something probably a little bit different to John Duran. I wouldn't be surprised to see him sort of drifting out wide a bit. Rashford, he's been looking quite good actually since leaving, quite like all the United players, like McTominay as well, and the rest of them. As soon as they get out of it, they seem to be all right at football again.
Anthony's a Ballon d'Or contender.
I know.
No, just on that, Chloe, I'll come to you on it. Like, we don't spend too long sort of dwelling on how Villa might look to attack Liverpool, or any team look to attack Liverpool for that matter. However, there does feel quite an obvious area where they might look to exploit, and it's our right-sided. To the right, it's Trent, it's Canate, because it's Rashford.
To be
maybe
perfectly
a bit of
honest
Marlon.
with you, it could be either of our full-backs now.
Granted.
Honestly, both of them have struggled this season, and I actually think Trent's been a little bit better defensively, but it's just that, you know, once again, he just feels a bit more pressured and rushed to pull the spectacular out of nowhere, which therefore means we give the ball away quite sloppily on that right-hand side. But yeah, like you said, you always are going to go down that left-hand side to attack Trent. Rashford has got pace, and Rashford's had Trent several times in the past as well.
It's a good matchup, though, isn't it? It's an interesting one. I enjoy it every time. So
We avoided it a lot in the past, haven't we? Usually Joe Gomez used to play that game. You know what I mean? That's obviously not afforded to us at the moment.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You know, Canate is massive for us as well. I think he's actually been pretty good. Had to get taken off against Wolves, so that he didn't get sent off. But, you know, I think they've got so much. The problem is they've got so many weapons, so many different players who can do different things. Morgan Rogers is absolutely brilliant. Ollie Watkins is just a poacher. You know, you give him a ball anywhere inside the area, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to finish in a goal. Like we said there, they've got Marlon, they've got Asensio, who I don't even know what that lad's about anymore because I don't remember. But I can imagine that he's still as skillful, and he's got a wand of a left foot. And then you've obviously got the pace and the skill of Rashford as well. So they've got so many weapons there. Liverpool needs to try and nullify them, and also just keep control of the game of football. We didn't have that in the second half against Wolves. We've got to make sure that we dictate this game of football and we set the tempo.
No, absolutely, yeah, because I think if we are as loose and as sloppy in possession, this team will hurt us. You know, they absolutely will hurt us, So just a couple of stats before we ask you guys a trivia question and wrap up the first half of the show. These are also courtesy of Chloe Blockton, one of which I wish he hadn't included in it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Aston Villa have won just one of their last 14 Premier League games against Liverpool. They've drawn 2 and lost the other 11. Can anyone tell me what their victory was?
7-2.
Wonderful, thanks, Chloe.
Sorry.
Just what I needed.
You didn't. It was a start. You didn't need to say which one they'd won.
Good
You
God.
put yourself in there.
The last 7 Premier League meetings between Aston Villa and Liverpool at Villa Park have produced 33 goals, which is an average of 4.7 per game. Jesus. Liverpool have scored at least twice in all 7 of those games, 20 in total. If omens are your thing, however, I said this yesterday on the podcast, I've only ever been to Villa Park once in my life, and it was the famous Sadio Mane, Andy Robertson heroics later on, and we then go on to win the league. So we're going to be all right. Sound? Trivia question, Sam.
You in lower?
Yeah.
Oh, same.
Yeah, same. See you there.
I don't even know where I am. I haven't got my ticket yet.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, well, we'll see you there regardless.
See you there.
We'll find you. Trivia question, Sam. This is another fun one. Thanks, Chloe.
You're
Who was the
welcome.
last player to be transferred between Aston Villa and Liverpool? I'll give you the answer to that in literally like a minute and a bit.
Hey everyone, in December we give away a shirt signed by Kenny Dalglish. In January we give a shirt signed by Ian Callaghan away. Well, it's February and we've got another signed shirt to give to one of our wonderful Redmen Plus Legend subscribers. This time it is signed by not one but 2 icons of the football club. This is a Rome 1984 shirt signed by 2 of the men who won the European Cup for Liverpool on that day. You've got Ronnie Whelan and you've got spaghetti legs himself, Bruce Grobbelaar. If you want to be in the draw to win this this, simply go to redmenplus.com. Join us as a legend subscriber, get access to all of our amazing extra content in video and in podcast forms. And yeah, you get loads of perks, you get access to the Discord, you get free merchandise, you get discounted merchandise as well. But if you do it today, by the end of February, you'll be in the draw to win this signed shirt. Ronnie Whelan, Bruce Grobler, get yourselves involved right now.
We ruined it.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Redmen TV. Congratulations to those who correctly said it was Christian Benteke. Luke, not that Luke, this Luke, and Charlie and James also backing up that it was Christian Benteke. We had a decent sized Christian Benteke chat whilst we were off air there, sort of discussing the pros and cons of him. We mentioned his overhead kick goal, which was tamely commentated on by Martin Tyler, I think it's fair to say. But I think Anthony Martial did sort of outdo him up the other end, or at least in Martin Tyler's eyes, he outdid him up the other end.
That's a different game, I think, in my
Is
head.
it?
We need to check that, because I think that Martial game's a league game and that Benteke game's the League Cup.
We were in a
Speeding
white
game.
kit, I remember
Definitely
that
a white
much.
kit, and that
Yeah.
Martin Tyler couldn't give less of a shit about the overhead
It
kick
was a
goal.
wonderful goal.
That's all I seem to remember from it. But I don't
Who
listen.
cares? We lost. So
Yeah, we did. We
He
lost,
was-
lost both of them.
He
Don't
was
need to
a
remember.
prime example of player plays well against Liverpool signed player, because he bullied us before we signed him time
he
and
was
time again.
really good before
He was a
we
proper
signed him.
handful, yeah. And then we signed, well, Brendan Rodgers wanted him. Liverpool wanted Firmino. We get both. Rodgers never really knows how to use either of them.
Just
Rodgers
doesn't play
leaves.
to either of their strengths.
Klopp
Plays
doesn't really,
fucking-
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Firmino ends up as a right wing back or something, and Benteke were deciding to not put balls in the box for him to attack.
And as it turned out, I think Firmino was a little bit better.
Just a little.
Sorry, Christian. But yeah, it's kind of true. Sounds. Let's do this then. Don't worry about saying sorry, Craig. It's fine. I'm glad you're here now. Do feel free to get involved as we go along. On to Liverpool then. Chloe, I'll come to you on it first. For Liverpool, we alluded to the fact before, but like we can't downplay how big this and the preceding 7 days are. But for this one in isolation right now, obviously it's Aston Villa away, so it comes with its own tests, examinations and challenges. Of course it does. But opportunity-wise, to look on a positive side of things, 3 points here takes us 10 points clear, albeit with that game extra. But that swing from what was happening recently with our game in hand, etc., feels very, very significant.
Yeah, and I think it's different in terms of when we had that game in hand. They were just seeing, Arsenal fans were just seeing it as it's only 6 points, it's Everton away, they won't get anything. And look, we very nearly came away with all three, and I'm still slightly fuming that the Reds didn't do that. But this would be different. If you actually get the points on the board first, there is no what if.
Yeah.
You know, Arsenal fans can then look and think to themselves, Jesus Christ, it's 10 points. Yeah, we could bring it back down to 7, but we still have to get over the line against, you know, they play West Ham on the weekend, but I don't know who their game in hand is.
We play Forest midweek, I think I might
Forest,
say.
so it might be that. Yeah. So that's not going to be easy. And also, I think it's vitally important because you cannot go to the Etihad expecting to win that game of football. You can't put that pressure on you. So you need 3 points. This is the most important game out of all of the games coming up, because this is the one that sets the mindset. This is the you bounce into City if you come away with 3 points and a decent performance, and there's less pressure on you to get the 3 points, but you're more likely to get the 3 points because you know you've just got through Villa Park, and Villa Park is an absolutely horrid place to go with how good of a stadium and atmosphere they can create and how good of a side they are, and then obviously Newcastle after that. Like, it is all about setting the tempo, the mindset, the entire vibes basically to go into those games. And it is vitally important that we get 3 points because you want that 10-point gap, because they play West Ham, I think it is, Arsenal.
West Ham,
yeah.
So it's not a game really they should be dropping points in, but they don't have a striker. Go and put the pressure right back on
Put it
them.
all on their toes,
Swing
yeah.
it all the way back round. Like they swung it back round on us, Leicester, the other day. They narrowly beat them, and it was all, it's 4 points. And for the second, I looked at that league table and went, Jesus Christ, have we gone from
Close,
potentially being 9
with
points
you.
ahead against Everton in the last minute of the game to being 4 points? Like, that is not a lot. Go and make it fucking 10, Liverpool.
Do the complete opposite, absolutely. Because even in your mind's eye, we know, like, Arsenal fans as a collective are worried about this sort of stuff and take heed in this sort of stuff as well. But it's hard to imagine the players aren't as well, Luke, because we know, was it they played Aston Villa, didn't we, after we beat Brentford? I think it was one of their players, maybe he who shall not be named, came out and said, we were aware of what had just happened. So they're fully conscious of Liverpool's existence in this title race. Of course they are, because you've got to be. But yeah, Chloe's absolutely spot on. Like, this is a massive opportunity for us, not just to put a bit of a marker down in terms of beating Villa away, but in terms of the table itself, because I think then all of a sudden the pressure's on Arsenal, full stop. But if that game isn't going their way, and they're not creating chances, or they're not really getting moments, or lo and behold, they go 1-0 down, that's a completely different ball game.
Yeah. I mean, what Chloe touched on there is the game in hand. I think that's massive. If Liverpool can get 10 clear, Arsenal's game in hand, should we call it, because we'll be playing the Carabao Cup final. That's what the extra game is Chelsea at 1:30 at home. That's subsequently been moved because we're playing a bit later in the day, aren't we?
And sorry, just quickly, that's not dissimilar from what our game in hand looked like, in a way, because that was Everton. It poses its own challenges. Like, whatever you think of Chelsea in terms of their current form right now, Chelsea, Arsenal's a thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it'll be really difficult for them, especially looking at it 10 behind, and then you've got Chelsea coming to your home ground. Chelsea really in need of results, really, to sort of keep up there. It's going to be really difficult for them, and I think psychologically it plays a massive part in the players. We know they're watching our games. I imagine our lads watching their games, but we're just maybe not as vocal about it. It's probably the worst thing you can do, but also the best thing you can do. If the result if we're playing after them and they slip up earlier in the day, we're absolutely massive up for it. Or if it's the other way around and we were playing at 3 o'clock at the weekend and everyone's watching Arsenal, they get two late ones at 2-0, suddenly we're a little bit deflated. So it can either win for you or, it can lose for you. And it's one of them, it's up in the air. But I fancy us, if we can go there and get the point, Man City at the weekend seems like a free hit. So let's see what we can do.
No, absolutely, yeah. And I think you're right to sort of mention the psychology and the mentality of it all. I think that plays a much bigger part in these sort of situations than we ever really give proper credit to, because, it's definitely a thing that stood us in good stead before, and hopefully we'll do the same with this current crop. Chloe, injury-wise, Arne Slot spoke this morning. Rather expectedly, Joe Gomez is out and will be out for a while. Potentially might need surgery on a hamstring situation as well, which is a shame for him. Hopefully see him back before the end of the season. That's kind of the vibe we're getting. No Cody Gakpo for this one. Aside from that, touch wood, providing training goes to plan today. Clean bill of health. Okay with that?
Yeah, I think I'm upset that Cody Gakpo isn't available, because I just think he's stepped up so much for us. And even if you don't think he's played brilliantly on the day, he's just in the right areas at the right time and he scores goals. He's really picked up the slack for Liverpool at times. So I think he's been really big for us so far this season. So it is a bit annoying that we don't have that option. It's also annoying because I don't think Diogo Jota did brilliantly the other day. Darwin Núñez most definitely didn't, come on and set the world alight. Diaz will have to move out to that left-hand side, and even then Diaz up top hasn't been doing it the last couple of weeks. So Liverpool have a little situation in terms of, not really knowing who the best option is for the number 9. I'm excited to see Diaz out wide again, because I just feel like that's, that is his natural position. Hopefully we can get him driving at players, and taking them on and beating them, but aside from that, look, you can't really complain. Look at the likes of Arsenal right now and the situation they're in. Even Villa, look, we just mentioned several of their players out. So going into this with just Gakpo and Gomez, we can be quite thankful that we've got here so far. But yeah, it would have been much better. Like I would have been starting Gakpo 1,000,000%. So it's a little bit annoying that we don't have that.
Yeah, I think it's a bit unfortunate as well, because I think this is it's a Diaz 9 sort of game. I think Villa will try and play a bit of football, and Diaz will be able to drop deep and create a bit of space. But like you said yourself, Chloe, it's likely he's going to be out there on the left just due to Gakpo being injured.
Who plays right back for them? Because Matty Cash is injured. They've obviously got Mattison at left back.
Ian Mattison, yeah.
Does Luca Digne still play for them?
Yeah, he's still there, yeah. Absolutely.
Sorry, I forgot he was a thing.
I'll check that while we're talking. But Luke, I'll come to you, mate. Sorry. I mean, we always do this, but the goalkeeper's Alisson, isn't it? Anyone who had the temerity to suggest he wasn't at his best was kind of put to bed the weekend. I thought he was exceptional the weekend.
Yeah, it was a huge save, wasn't it? And one that really sort of, if they get that goal earlier on, they get one a little bit later and we sort of capitulate a little bit and, we get a bit nervy. They score that one straight after half time. You're talking about a completely different game. If we're nervy for the whole half, who knows what could have happened? We could have gone on to draw or even lose, and then you don't have the points on the board. So he's got to go back in, really. It's unfortunate for Kelleher because he's probably not going to get many games now, considering we've gone out the FA Cup. Maybe, the only place you can really see him getting games is one, if Alisson gets injured, and then maybe we take a massive lead in one of the Champions League knockout rounds. But aside from that, I can't really see him playing much, which is a real shame, and possibly could be the end of his Liverpool career, really. He might not actually get another game now, and obviously we know he might be looking elsewhere in the summer with Mamardashvili coming in, which is a real shame.
No, he definitely looks like that, mate. 100% he does. I've got the Aston Villa lineup up from their last game. It was Alex Garcia. They signed a young right back, 21.
Was he young? Is he?
Yeah.
I'm getting
Spanish.
confused. I'm thinking he's the lad we've played this season against
no,
Girona. No, different Alex Garcia.
Different one. Different Levante, I think this one was. But
I
you see
think the one you're going on about is a really good midfielder, then.
Yeah, but I was thinking maybe he just deployed him elsewhere.
Luca Dini did start the game at left back. I think Matson came on again from the conversation.
It didn't matter. They signed Mattison, and I was like, what a buy that is, and I've hardly seen the lad.
No. Kamara started that game in centre half as well. Now he's injured, so that just sort of underlines the problems
didn't know
they've
that.
got. You know what I mean? I mean, the Sarsi starts
Probably
alongside
should
him,
have
but
known that.
I think a lot of it was made
show.
about the transfer window. People saying Aston Villa have won the transfer window, but did they really? I mean, Asensio hasn't been playing much. He's a bit older. Rashford does look like the player he is. But Diego Carlos has left. I know he was sort of a little bit hit and miss, but I feel like he might be a bit more solid than Sarsi.
I used to love Marco Asensio when he played for Madrid.
Yeah, he was good.
So
wasn't he?
good.
yeah, he's got quality. He still has quality
so
in
good.
flashes. Hopefully not tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Sound okay. Let's move on to our defence then, Chloe, shall we? People earlier on in the comments when we were highlighting the threat posed by their left-hand side, potentially whether it be a combination of Maatsen, Digne, Tielemans over there, Morgan Rogers, Jacob Ramsey, it feels like they're quite heavy in that particular area of the pitch, and we often have Trent over there, of course. People were making the case for Conor Bradley. Is that a case you can make? No. We'll move on.
I love Conor Bradley, and I do think he's better defensively. However, it's Trent Alexander-Arnold. I don't know how I'm supposed to say no to putting him on, because he is the one who can turn it on its head and produce a bit of magic. And also, he could have killed that game off for us the other day had Mo Salah been onside. The ball is an absolute joke.
And that's what he's capable of.
And then no one's worried about the fact that Cunha scores a goal. Maybe they don't even go on and do that.
Go on and do it, deflate it a bit.
So, no, I think Trent will start. But Conor Bradley, if he comes on with 20, 25 to go, that's normal. The thing is that Trent's going to have to be outstanding defensively. And I'm not sure that'll happen. I think Ibu will have a lot on his hands there. But yeah, I just don't see how you can't not start Trent, because it's Trent.
I'm with you. And I think Ibu, yes, and maybe a little help from Szoboszlai getting back as well.
That'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, it might be needed. Luke, same question.
Yeah, well, I'll just play the counter argument just for the sake of it. Conor Bradley, he is best defensively. We know Trent sort of gets into them high areas, but he offers that sort of creativity that Conor Bradley doesn't. I'd argue in Conor Bradley's favour that he probably has the legs on Trent, and that's where people like him and track him back and chasing his man, and he'll fly into challenges. He's that sort of player. He's just a bit more aggressive, especially in the tackle, and that's probably arguably why people are making the case for it. When you're throwing a few tackles, people can just say, you love the club, you're dying for the badge and all the rest of it, and that's why people get behind it. And he is, I'm sure he is, but just because Trent isn't flying into tackles and doing that sort of thing doesn't mean that he's not playing out of skin and doing his best for Liverpool. I know a lot's been made about sort of his Real Madrid move and the contract and all the rest of it, and if that's going to happen, that's probably playing into the argument a bit, because you have one camp who's like, if he's not going to stay here, just don't play him whatsoever. Well, that would be silly, because there's a league title to be won.
Yeah.
So
No, absolutely, and he's very capable of producing moments that win games of football for you, single-handedly, even when he's not having his best game. That's what he's got in the locker. Okay, I think we've just about decided on Trent. The other side, then, you mentioned sort of some of the problems we've had at left back, and they have been there for all to see at times this season, Chloe. Is this a Costas game or a Robbo game?
Jesus Christ, flip a coin.
Are we really there, are we? Yeah.
I really don't think either of them have been great this season, I won't lie to you. The only way to describe how I think about those two left backs at the moment in time is one will start the game, one will come on for 20 minutes, and I'll be like, start him next game. Yeah. And then he'll start, and then the other one will come on for 20 minutes, and I'll be like, no, actually start it. I can't. I'm going Robbo. He came off, didn't he? Did he come off? Did he come off against Wolves?
I don't think he
did. He get a yellow?
Come off, no.
Who the hell said that the other day then?
I don't think he did, personally.
No.
Was it Paul?
Maybe
Someone decided that.
I'll check.
He had a torrid game as well against Wolves. It is Robbo for me, and I won't lie to you, I think a lot of that is just the fact that he's done it, he's been there before, he's won it before. He also got a goal against that 2-1 win. Yeah. He gets the header that puts us back level. So I am going to go Robbo, but honestly, the left back situation is a problem for me this season.
I think I'm the other way around, and I always pick Kostas and Mikas every time, and he's always poor. But I'm just thinking legs, managing minutes, and I'd rather have Robbo against Mamouche on the weekend.
Okay.
So that's probably my bit behind it.
That's the other
I
consideration.
don't even want to think about Robbo being
When he said Mamouche, I was like, he doesn't play for Aston Villa. Then I realised what you meant, yeah. He didn't come off in the weekend, Andy Robertson. He stayed on the whole game. Yeah.
Paul
I
was
thought he
incorrect
did.
when he said that on
Yeah,
the originals.
I wasn't blaming you at all, but it definitely happened. Well, that's a
Did
good...
he get booked?
No.
He also said that. No, that's what he also said. Because he was like, he got booked because of both fullbacks came off, didn't he? Because Robbo got booked, and I've just been like, oh, Robbo must have been booked.
I don't
and came off.
remember. Well, it definitely didn't happen. That's why I don't remember it. But I remember him saying that because I'd have pulled him up on it. Anyway, the point there about what's to come, and I know we don't really want to think about it, Chloe, but I made this point early on to Aaron before we went live. Like, it feels like Slot is now going to have to use
all of his squad.
No, I don't think so, though. I think probably should, or probably in normal circumstances, yes. But it feels like for the next 8 days, he's probably got like 13 players to pick
when
from,
is
which
the
feels...
1st of March?
I'm sorry, I don't know how to answer that question.
It's
like 2
we play
weeks away.
Newcastle Wednesday, then that's the free weekend.
Wonderful. Lads, you're going again for 3 games, and then you've got
I'm
a
with you.
weekend off.
Yeah.
But when you say lads, what number of lads? Because I'm thinking it's like 13,
About 13.
lads. Yeah, Simicast and Jones.
I think a little bit more. I think Nunes might play a role in one of the games, maybe start one of them.
I'm not going to lie
Like the
to
only
you.
one.
Yeah, but like...
Is it 14? This is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Okay, so who are the subs then? Like so Nunes right now.
Yeah, Nunes. Well, subs probably looking Nunes, Conor Bradley, Curtis Jones.
Do you think Bradley starts one of these 3?
No, well, you're seeing the subs. I'm thinking Bradley definitely plays half an hour in at least 2 of them, or maybe 20 minutes.
Okay, so who's the one after that? Because Harvey Elliott and Chiesa aren't getting anywhere near this
true.
fucking
Because
football
when
club.
you said the full squad, that includes them.
Yeah, it does,
You know what I
but
mean?
they're not liked right now.
Doesn't feel like it, does it?
Maybe, yeah.
So it really is like 13 players.
13/14.
Because
top.
they could have been used in the last 2 weeks, but the only time they were used is Plymouth, and that says everything.
Yeah.
It's a conversation piece in
So
of
it
itself,
is,
but
yeah.
we've got, again, 3 games in 8 days, massive games, every single
Yeah.
one of them in their own right, and probably 14 players tops to choose from.
Is Jones available tomorrow?
Yeah, Jones is fine.
Yeah,
Jones
he
is
is,
back,
yeah.
And we'll go on to that
Because
in a minute.
once
but-
again,
go on.
inside the ground, I didn't know whether this lad was just handing out double yellows or whether it was just a straight red for the likes of Curtis and Doucouré.
Oh no, that was second yellow.
Thank God,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
We didn't see that part, and we just saw Slot on the touchline or not. That's another thing.
As things stand, yes.
I think
Yeah.
it gets investigated Thursday, so he'll miss City if he's suspended.
Yeah, which
Okay,
is likely to
and
be.
Newcastle probably.
Yeah.
There was a question. Was there a question? What was the question?
I'm basically asking how many players have we got to choose from
Oh.
for the next 3 games.
13 probably is where I get. We do have a full
Yeah.
squad, I agree. I just don't think he trusts Harvey Elliott or Chiesa right now in the big moments, and these are the biggest of moments that you're going to get. Curtis Jones, absolutely. I wouldn't be against Curtis Jones starting. I won't lie to you. In terms of ball retention and keeping it and killing the crowd, absolutely. And yeah, like you said, maybe Darwin Núñez. I think you can maybe throw Gakpo in there, so maybe
When
it's
he's
14
fit,
when he's
yeah,
fit.
See,
So
somebody makes a point. Sorry, this is another one we never mentioned a second ago. Maybe Endo.
I can't. I
don't
can only
see-
see
I don't
Endo off
see
the
it.
bench to see a game out. That's the only thing I can see. I can't see him starting. Just to touch on Nunes as well. I think Nunes is probably the Etihad game. I reckon I'd probably start him there just for the sheer fact of
Bit more space.
the new lad. If you just get at him, he's shaky as anything, isn't he? I forget his name.
Kuzminov, that guy.
Yeah, Kuzminov.
They've got lost.
I agree, but to
Yeah.
do that, we've got to have a lad who actually can hold the ball.
Yeah, true.
And I've not seen that in the last
Anyway.
however many games. Since Brentford. Just do what you did against Brentford.
Yeah, easier said than done, I think.
It is, sadly.
Centre halves, no brainer.
No,
Either
no,
of those,
come on.
Moving on.
Can't say
Midfield, then
What I will say is, Quansah, I was very glad he had a really good
did
second
really
half.
well. Yeah, did really well. I agree. Yeah, probably hasn't put himself back into the reckoning for the
No.
start, though. Which
But
again,
that block, that clearance was
exceptional.
sensational.
Yeah, absolutely exceptional. Yeah, but again, falls into the category of not part of this.
If he had
next.
to come on in this game, I would be slightly shitting myself.
Sound. Let's do midfield. Gravenberg just starts
Yeah.
the game.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Maka. He's been
Maka
our
just
best
starts the
midfielder.
game.
I have been in the camp. I'll play Sabo, I think, just so he plays a little bit higher at times. You know what I mean? If we are going to try and draw them out, Sabo is more likely to get in behind than Maka. That's the only argument I'd make. But if Maka played,
But we've got 3
midfielders.
midfielders.
Well, we've
So-
got 4 with Curtis.
Yeah, I'll probably
No,
I'll
that's
put
what
Curtis in.
I'm saying is 3 midfielders would play, and we've said 2.
Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah. So you said, well, there's 2. Sorry, just to
Yeah,
come
you know,
back.
I've jumped the gun there. It's because Curtis is my other midfielder.
Yeah,
That's why.
just to backpedal slightly. Whilst we've all just put Gravenberch in without a single moment's thought, 2 people have backed up an Endo in.
No.
Never.
I'm just saying.
In
There's
this
another one,
game of
a
football?
third person. But yeah, same, but back again, yeah. Yeah.
Is this just because he's put in a few big tackles on the weekend and helped us get over the line? Don't get me wrong, he was really good. He was
sorry.
really good, but Gravenberch for Endo seems ridiculous at this stage.
Can I say
Gravenberch has
something?
been our best player this season. Salah's up there, though.
I think we really miss him as well, you know, and I think that was evident in the Plymouth game because we weren't, I know McConnell's only a young lad, but we weren't as trusted enough when he was in tight areas where, you know, you can fire that ball
And
as a
also-
Gravenberch in 2 turns and he's gone.
We've just mentioned how many midfielders they're missing, that is really, you know, hard as nails, and Onana and Kamara. I trust Ryan Gravenberch on the half turn to beat their midfield and get us out. Endo's not going to give me that as much, and that's perfectly fine because he's a different type of player. But Ryan Gravenberch has been our best player.
Yeah.
Why would I ever not use him?
The lads,
He came off against Everton. He's had a little bit of rest, then, lad.
The lad's been immense.
Are you about to say?
I'm about to play devil's advocate slightly. Now, I would start him. Let's get out there
Yeah.
into DEFA quickly. Obviously, I'd start him. I think he's been unbelievable. I think he looked quite tired on Sunday. I do. I think he looked really tired. I think it's fatigue setting in. And I've peddled this argument all season long, particularly in January when I wanted us to go and do a bit of business in that department, because this amount of minutes is unheard of for him for a while.
Yeah.
And to go this and then to go the weekend and to go Newcastle, we're just running him and running him.
So
and
why
running
can't
him.
you start him
You can.
and then take him off?
Game's got to be won, though, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, does it have to be one? You could play an hour and if it's still nervy,
Maka
you could
can
bring
go
Maka
there,
on in the
Curtis Jones
6.
can go there.
What you don't want to do is bring Endo on in the 6 and we're still 0-0.
Yeah.
You know, because that's a negative change then.
But also,
I'm saying stuff.
what about
yeah.
if you start Endo, right? Yeah, and you don't have the. You don't get out as easy on the half turn and things, and you're still 0-0, and you're bringing Ryan Gravenberch on. That's great, but you're bringing him on in a game like that where like 20 minutes to go, 0-0, everything's in the balance. I don't know. You just should play your best player. Like, get the science and sports gels down him and just tell him to carry on running, please.
The only way I can see Gravenberch not starting is the point you've made, Dan, where he's leggy. But then if he doesn't start, it's not Wataru Endo. It's
Curtis Jones for me.
Yeah.
You
It's
play
the three
Curtis Jones and you've got Kurt or Maka in the 6, whatever one you'd prefer, and then you've got Sobel.
Yeah, my point isn't like, you know, doing something different there necessarily. My point is Gravenberch good to go? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Is he good to go for this?
Yeah.
Is he good to go for the weekend? Is he go for the weekend? Sorry, the midweek after that. That's my only reservation.
I know,
I think you give him the full week off. If he is leggy and like I know that's the story we're playing, you know, in sake of playing devil's advocate, you give him the Newcastle game off and give him the full 7 days, and then you go with Maka, Curtis, Sabazlai.
And that's the thing, to give him a rest, you need to be in a place of, it's a luxury to do such a thing.
Yeah.
That means that you need 6 from 6 going into Newcastle to rest them. I'm not resting them for a game in which that therefore means if we drop points tomorrow, we need to go to the Etihad and win. And then we've got to beat Newcastle at home. It's Newcastle at home that is at home. That is the game where if you have to give him rest, that's the one where you can go.
Yeah, that's the easiest of the next 3 games.
I mean, it's not easy,
it's not
but,
easy. All
like,
games are hard. But if you're grading the games, you'd expect 3
This
points
is the
there.
most important because it's the first
Yeah,
one.
I agree.
Yeah.
Again, I would start him. Absolutely. But
Yeah,
there's we're saying, you know, get him into a position whereby you can rest him, etc., etc. But if his performances are suffering as a consequence of how tired he is or how much football he's played, you're suddenly not getting the best version of Ryan Gravenberch anyway. You know what I mean? So maybe there is an argument there. I don't know.
I think
The
that's given
sports
for everyone, though.
scientist.
If he drops a stinker tomorrow, then, you know, anyone could drop a stinker. You won't play at the Etihad. You know what I mean? So that's probably the only player who's probably the 2 that can get away with it is probably Van Dijk and Salah.
Okay. So we have a midfield 3 of Ryan Gravenberch, McAllister, and Jones.
I like Jones for
I'm
this game.
Sabazlai camp, but we'll put McAllister.
I don't mind either
2-1.
Sobbo for the running, absolutely, but I am just petrified of this atmosphere first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And Kurt is going to be the one who's just going to say, give me the ball, and I'll just and keep hold of it. For
And
5.
he is the freshest of all of them,
Yeah.
by some distance, I would say as well. So
And
I'd be
also-
Curtis.
He should be bouncing off nearly flooring 3 of their Everton players. So let's have a bit of that, please.
The front line then, Mo Salah, obviously Luis Diaz, left wing.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Not much
picked
else
itself
you
at
can
this
do.
point, yeah.
Diego
So-
Jota.
Jota,
Yeah, I'm probably Jota as well. So there's no argument there.
yeah. Can we have a mini discussion
No.
as to why?
Oh, I thought you were about to say we discussion with Darwin Núñez.
Well, that is it, isn't it, ultimately? But I don't think Jota was outstanding.
He
by any
wasn't.
stretch of the
He was
weekend.
absolutely
He
not.
wasn't, and he should score
Ask
a goal.
me who I trust more.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Diego Jota.
Yeah, in a game like this, you want Jota playing, don't you? And like I said, I made the case earlier for maybe Núñez to start at the weekend, so that's why I would have Jota
And
here.
also, like we said, they will try and plague against us. Núñez, with 25 to go to stretch them,
Yeah.
if we're 1-0 up or whatever, that is not a bad thing.
I think there's an element of looking at both games, and I think City are going to try and have a lot of the ball at the weekend, so we might have a few chances on the turnover where you'd fancy Darwin Núñez running behind. Villa, they are going to try and play. There will be a bit more space. They will draw it out, but it will very much be a game of Liverpool need to break down Villa, and that isn't what Darwin Núñez is successful at. The fella at the moment, you know, his touch is poor. If he can pull out his touch when he had Brentford, he'll be all right. But
The Pringles question.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
My favourite flavour is salt and vinegar, and I reckon
That's what he is.
that Jota is sensational as a footballer. So I'm going to go with the best flavoured crisps in my mind,
Yeah.
because it's devastating every
Why are
time
you
that
doing,
you pick up.
You're doing the Pringles tube hand. What are you doing?
I'm going to go with salt and vinegar because I'd be the most devastated if they were the ones that were like broken in the can.
Well, a good chance. So let's start getting some score predictions in then in the chat, shall we? Before we begin.
Don't ask me.
Nathan Weiss has picked his entire 11. He's gone Alison Becker, Conor Bradley, Virgil van Dijk, Ibu Kanate, Andy Robertson, Curtis Jones, Lexi McAllister, Van Gravenberch, Mo Salah, Darwin Núñez, and Louis.
If Darwin Núñez starts, I'm not against it.
I'm not against it, but I reckon he'd be better deployed at the weekend. That's all it is. Just minute management.
Because how high they play.
Yeah, and like I said, we might be looking at a game at the weekend where we've got less possession of the ball.
Yeah.
And he
So,
hates them as well, Darwin, a little bit. He has some beef with them post-match.
And Edison will probably wipe him out to give us a penalty at some point.
Hopefully.
He's done that before, yeah. Whilst we're mulling over our score predictions
I
in
can't
the
be dealing with
studio-
that, by the way, David.
Yeah, it's
No, I
hard.
know.
I can't deal with that.
Saying
mate.
that, the let-off would be immense.
The let
We're
off
there,
would be
so
sent. I would be on the floor.
Yeah, it would be unbelievable, which I'm kind of there for. As much as I sit here now, like 48
I don't care
hours.
for peri-peri flavoured Pringles.
Okay.
Peri-peri chips from Nando's, absolutely.
Different conversation entirely. Literally entirely.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
You put the comments up on the screen.
I do that. That's kind of what I do. Watch along wise, that will be happening, of course, in the studio next to us. I won't be here, but I think
I wonder why.
well, there. Have I mentioned?
I wonder why.
No, I haven't mentioned, yeah. But people will be here and they'll be covering it from the minute 1 to the minute 90 yards and post-match as well. So make sure you come and get involved in that. I've put it off long enough. Score prediction, Luke.
I'm going to go 2-1, just like we did a couple seasons ago. And it'll propel us on to win the league, hopefully.
I love you. No? Absolutely
You
not.
do yours.
I'll do mine in that case. I'm going to say... Go away, Chris.
Oh, I can't,
I'm going to
mate.
say Liverpool 3, Aston Villa 1 is what I'm going to say. I think their defensive issues are a little bit too taxing for them to cope. And we have to play better. We have to play better in the second half against Wolves.
Yeah.
And I think we will. I think we'll be fully aware of the need and the requirements to play better, and we'll produce something more in line with what we've seen previously from this Liverpool team. And I think we'll just do a proper job on them. That's what I'm here for. And I've said that a lot this season, but I'm kind of hoping it's true this time. Boss, that's us then. There is an Oppo preview show done over on Redmen Plus. Do go and check that out. There'll be a clip of that at some point on YouTube as well. Outside of that, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
See you.
Bye for now.